And how would you say you've changed and developed? Obviously, you wrote those songs at a very difficult time, the early songs of Slow Joy, that kind of that, and it feels like you've evolved now as we come to this new kind of series of tunes. So how would you say, in your own words, you've changed and developed as a person and as an artist,
Sure.
if they're two different things, since the beginning of Slow Joy to where you are now?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the beginning of Slow Joy, the music was specifically about like one event, right? So it was really, really focusing in on like dealing with the grief and dealing with that aspect of things. Um, as I kind of began to grow and began to like, get some years away from the grief, I realized that like there were other stories that need to be told because they're just as important. And this as an artist, this record and future records are really just going to be like diving into like all, facets and all stories. There's music about like me putting myself in the perspective of like my dad's divorce. There's music about me putting myself in the perspective of like someone I don't even agree with, like just like a just a crazy person who's calling themselves the King Cowboy. Like those are important things, and like I believe a good artist can like put themselves in different stories and tell those stories just as well as they could their own,
Mm.
individuals. And that's something that I think like has grown in me. It's like I've continued to like really, really like work on expressing like these stories in an important way that like matters to me and hopefully will matter to other people. On a personal level, I think the biggest foundational shift was when I like, okay, I don't want to do music anymore. And then music's like, okay, now you can have it. And now that I have it, I'm like learning to continue to have that like open palm mentality where like if this
Mm.
goes away, I'm still me and I'm still happy. Uh, Especially on the days where like, because everything's quantifiable. If like your Spotify numbers go down, you could have a very bad day as an artist. And like that's ridiculous. That's so silly to like on the grand scheme of things that matter in life, that's not something that should matter. But it does to a lot of people because we're like on these weird like number scales, and like
Mm.
that there's days where that like really affects me and I have to be like, hey, you're keep it with an open palm because the connection with people who care is still there, and your connection to this music's still there. It doesn't invalidate the music for like, a Spotify playlist not be like happening for this thing or that. And like I think those are the things that I'm learning and I'm growing in, and I'm like being more and more thankful for, is like this becoming more of like its own like artistic endeavor and not like being defined by, one, algorithmic shift to the next.
Yeah, man, I think that's really cool because you like you say, I think you said it previously as well, that honesty and rawness like comes across in your lyrics, in your vocal, in the way. Yeah, I mean, pulling teeth is a great example. Going back all the way back to crawling. I think that is something I wanted to ask. I've kind of deviated because I had a bunch of questions, but this one's
Oh, you're
a
good.
kind of,
I love it.
yeah. Where did you find your voice, SD? Because I think that emotion, really comes across when you sing, that you're like, I feel that you mean it. I would never have to meet you to know that. So
Sure.
where did you find your voice? Where did you figure out that you could sing like that? And was it an easy or difficult process?
It was pretty difficult. I mean, obviously it starts with believing in the words you're saying to start off
Mm.
with. I don't think I could deliver something I don't believe in as well. Um, but it really did come from like a lot of effort. I was like, my voice is honestly something that I've been the most, I guess ashamed of. I was like not a very good singer for a long time. I was always just around people who were like much better than me, and like I just didn't have like your classic choir boy, like sing at a church kind of voice. And I thought that was a bad thing forever. It wasn't until recently that I realized it. I was like, oh, this is like something that like it is me, and it is something that's important to me. And if it's not perfect, that's great. Like that's what we want. Like my favorite singers are like Isaac Brock and and Caleb Followell, and like these like sing these people who are like not your typical singer. And like I've learned to embrace that the I guess the non-smoothness elements of what I do. I've learned to embrace that aspect of it, and that has been like a lot of work and a lot of effort. But it's really it's something I'm really proud of.